Next, we have Dr. Roger Clemens, Chief Science Officer at the Horn Company. Dr. Clemens is a well-regarded authority on nutrition and food issues, who is often quoted by media. A long-standing volunteer leader and former president of the Institute of Food Technologists in the U.S. He is familiar with food trends and the Industry Association perspectives. He's the Chief Science Officer at Horn and the adjunct professor of pharmacology and pharmaceutical sciences within the USC School of Pharmacy. He served on the USDA 2010 Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee as well. So with that, we'll turn the time over to Dr. Roger Clemens.
Awesome. Well, good morning. Wow, look at this. So what is your biggest interest? Fat, protein, carbohydrate, they're all bad, right? Don't know, but you're here to find out. Good place to be. I love that. Well, I'm Roger Clemens, and I serve the Dietary Guidelines for the United States, but I'm a human guy. Look the human? Okay. We also need to understand that what we need to understand is what humans need to take, and it's different than our canine friends, feline friends. You get the idea, our four-legged friends. I have 4 of those friends. Actually 5, according to my daughter. So let's take a look at what we understand about fat. And it's just interesting that the general public thinks, well, if we shouldn't consume fat, consumers think we shouldn't consume carbohydrate, what's left? Protein. Alcohol, right? No. Yeah, we should consume protein. And our colleague mentioned about protein. And all proteins are the same, right? No, isn't that a great take-home message? We're going to take the same message now and apply it to fat. Are all fats the same? Wow, you got the lecture. Done. Okay, let's take a look at a few things. I should turn on. And we see here, we want to look at these kinds of actions. We want to look, if you need dietary fat. You all have skin? You all have skin, yes? Yes. And most of us. And the skin, for skin to be viable, you have to have fat. Do you take any vitamins? Are vitamins? Vitamins maybe? Food you eat, supplements you take? Well, many of those require fat to function. Do any of you happen to have any steroids floating around in your body? I'm going to guess you do. Male, female, get the idea? Well, they require fat to be transported. So fats play a major role. And everybody here has a brain. Tell me that's true. Yes. Well, my friend calls me a fathead because I'm mostly fat. But most of your brain is fat and water. So we need to understand those dynamics as well. So we'll look at that and look at different sources of dietary fat because they're not all the same. And we have the concept of what's essential. Essential being that we either don't make it or we don't make it in sufficient quantities to be of any value to us or to our canine, feline friends. You get the idea. We can do that. And they're really different omega-6s, omega. Now we're really going to get really techy. Can we handle that? Yeah. All right. And then there's some ratio things to talk about what's coming out in the new guidelines. Let's go up here. Right. There are 8 major elements that show that the essentiality of fat. By the way, you can have copies of all of this. It's public information. It helps educate people. It's all yours. So here it's all about energy. As we get older, some of us actually accumulate some of the energy, right? Yeah, all right. Unfortunately, yes, we do. And that creates a challenge. Our canine and feline friends do the same thing. Go ahead and look at this. Energy, body heat. We want to maintain body temperature. We're homeotherms. We want to maintain a body temperature within a very narrow range, as opposed to kilotherms, which are like snakes. And are you a snake? No. But someone may think that. But dogs, cats are all homeotherms. They have a very narrow range, so we maintain body temperature. And then we have to have cushion. Ever been a truck driver, been on the bouncy truck? See? It's really good for your organs, right? Not so good. That's why it helps cushion your organs, the kidneys and liver. So we can see that right here. So it's a cushion. And also a central nervous system. You have to function with fat. Without the fat, certain kinds of fat, you will not function particularly well. And then ADEK, acronym for vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. All fat-soluble vitamins. In the absence of fat, these do not transport. In the absence of fat, you become insufficient, if not outright deficient in these nutrients. And the hormone transport, we mentioned about steroids just a few moments ago. It gets structure. You all have structure. This, you have structure. Pull your skin, you have structure there. And fat helps you maintain structure throughout life. And then obviously brain function. So we're going to touch base quickly on these in the next 10 minutes. Sources of fat, these are what we get in animal foods. Animal fats are different than plant fats. It's a big move to go to plant fats, but animal fats are a really good source of energy for our canine, feline friends, and other things. So we see here most of the fat can be good for you. Unlike humans, you can have cholesterol in your dog's diet and they don't get gallstones. And they don't suffer from cardiovascular disease or heart disease. Different from humans. Are you a dog? See, we're really different. We need to appreciate those differences. And you can see here, these are some physical characteristics you can catch there. What's oil and temperature, room temperature, it's solid at room temperature. What does butter look like at room temperature? It's solid. Pretty close, is that right? Bit of the temperature of the room. But yes, it's solid. So it's dominated in saturated fat. If you take vegetable oil out of the cupboard, what does it look like? And you pour it? And so it is liquid at room temperature. Big differences in functionality and composition. And here you see here different functions here with unique characteristics. Too many long words, but keywords that we need to understand. And here, what do we get on animal fat? And for pet food industry, these are the primary sources for us. Then we go to plant foods. And there's a big movement for plant foods for us as humans and also for our canine, feline friends. So where do we get them? Well, they're from plants. Novel concept, right? Plant oils are from plants. Yeah, it really works. Vegetable oils. Are all vegetable oils the same? They're not. If you look at your own pantry, you'll see that they're not the same. And you see here that, in fact, we need to understand that those differences vary in their composition. And that composition may or may not be appropriate for your pet. And then different sources. Some of you might recognize these names, flaxseed, canola, so forth. These are rich sources of unsaturated fatty acids. They differ in their composition, but they're all oils, and you can see their sources. Marine foods, yeah, we're talking more about things that come from the sea. And these are some sources here. We see marine sources make sense, they're coming from the sea, and they also could come from your favorite lake or tree, if you're out fishing in some place. But they differ in their composition depending where the fish is grown or where the fish sets up housekeeping. Fish that are in the Arctic or Antarctic underneath the ice shelf are different in composition than those who might find off the coast of California and off the coast of Nevada. Nevada doesn't have a coastline, folks. I tried so hard. Oh, it might in 100 years or so. You will not be looking back, won't you? And we also have some unique sources called microalgae. Microalgae has been producing a lot of different kinds of fatty acids. Some of them have been really quite good, and we've seen some ideas of that here on the showroom floor. Let's look at, this is a long structure. No, there will not be a quiz at the end of the hour. And you're glad for that. The point is that these are long structures, and the lesson here is that these are double bonds.
Omega-9s.
Double bonds mean they're unsaturated. So you take your sponge, wring it out like David can do better than I, and you unsaturate the sponge, and all of a sudden now you have gaps in the oil structure. That's what happens with the sponge. You have less oil, you have less hydrogen here, and the sponge you have less water. Same concept that we have here. So do we make essential fatty acids? Sometimes. Those are essential. These are fatty acids that we have to make, or cannot make, or must have. It really depends on what you need. And you see, you cannot make or synthesize these fatty acids in sufficient quantities to maintain viable health. There's a big difference. And obviously, they must be consumed as suggested here, and there's several types of saturated fats. And these will give you some examples here. These are called, you notice the 3 number? Omega-3 fatty acids. Got that? Omega-3 fatty acid. Different from some of the others that we have. This is an N6 or omega-6 fatty acid. That's where the unsaturated bond insert. Are they the same? They are not the same. Very good. And what are requirements? This is really important. And we look at the requirements of NRC. It was published in AFCO. Dr. Mazantz will give you lots of information on that. But importantly here you see cats and dogs require both omega-3 and omega-6. And the requirement depends on where they are in life stage. If you were an infant, you have the highest requirement for energy per kilogram of body weight and the highest requirement for protein per kilogram of body weight, or per pound of body weight. Same thing happens here. Developmental stages of lactation and birthing, if you will, and you see here you have differences in requirement based on life stage. Obviously here, cats and dogs can convert this fatty acid precursor to EPA. We won't. It's not the Environmental Protection Agency. Good. But we see what happens is that while this may be great, but the dogs and cats can't do this. And this is the fatty acid that you need for cognitive function. So what do? We feed it to them, right? Good job. Linoleic acid is omega-6 fatty acid, and this is what the requirements are for dogs and cats. Are they the same? So you design foods to meet the needs of the respective animal. They're not the same. And then we have this really long word, arachidonic acid, but requirements not established in dogs, and when it comes to cats, very little. And this is suggested, this is a nice report out of Africa. So we see that they're all different. So we need to be sensitive. We have to be sensitive to their needs. We can't feed dog food to cats. You get that? We don't feed cat food to sheep or horses. You get the idea? Great. These are some other important issues that we want here. They require these fatty acids for normal growth and development. And we let this right here, not well established. This is research that's going on with cats. And we think about in humans that this one is required to maintain heart health. This one is required for brain health. Same concept applied to our four-legged furry friends. Say that a few times. And this is what we need, but we don't know what the amounts might be. We also see a number of revisions that are coming out in the not too distant future from my colleagues. And this one, the ratio. We see a lot about ratios in humans. Now we talk about appropriate ratios for dogs and cats and other animals. What is appropriate for optimal health, optimal nutrition? This is coming down the pipe. Dr. Mazantz will address some of these issues. Cat, are they the same? In this case, the ratio is the same, but the amounts are different. In humans, this gives you some idea. I served on this committee for humans, and this is where we are. Again, the ratio is not addressed. It's been a point of controversy in humans as well. As we wrap this up, to get energy from fat, dogs and cats get energy from fat. Also for structure. It's important to have fat. If you put a dog or a cat on a zero-fat diet, they will get sick. Is that clear? Right. And this is how much energy they need. It's quite variable, of course. A lot of variations right here. So much a cat on requirements for energy from fat, the same in dogs and cats? They are not. Good. Good ethic. And this other ant, we get this from watching from walnuts. You like walnuts? This is good. You see, it can reduce the risk of heart disease when it comes to humans. We don't see the same thing in dogs, but we do see the things that we do, like in humans, maintain skin health and coat health. And pet owners always want shiny coats and healthy skin, right? Of course you do. Cats, no requirement for dorm kit. Isn't that interesting? We could ask, well, will there ever be, maybe more research will indicate what that might be in the future? And this gives you some handle on this EPA thing that seems to be somewhat controversial at times. Well, do dogs really need dietary fat? This is why you need it. Right here, brain and central nervous system. We realize with skin and coat health, you need it. You can't put dogs and cats in a zero-fat diet, or you could get sick. Cats not required, not established. Gives you some more handles here. This linoleic acid, important for babies, particularly premature children. They're also important, maybe important for developing kids and cats. We need to understand those dynamics. Moisture skin, everyone likes to have moist skin, right? Flexible skin. Well, the cats do a good job of that. I do cats. But we need to understand what does it really function in adult cats. We know it works well in baby cats or kittens. What does it do in adult cats? Area of opportunity, right? To understand. Well, in conclusion, all that sort of thing. We have 8 functions. Can you list those functions? I won't quiz you, but write them down anyway, all right? We realize that essential fatty acids are those that we can't make at all, or we can't make in sufficient quantity to meet our nutritional needs. Do not put a dog or cat on a zero-fat diet. They will get sick. Is that clear? Perfect. And these are the different kinds of unsaturated fatty acids, and this is already applied. We will not do a quiz on those either. We realize that all sources of fat can be beneficial. They're different sources. What we see in animals, what we see in plants, and what we see in marine animals, the kinds of fats that are in those respective species are different. Are all dogs the same? They are not. Are all cats the same? They are not. So we realize the breeds differ, and we realize these differ. So we need to pair them up so we get optimal health for our canine and feline friends. And with that, thank you so much for your engaging time.
Thank you, Roger, very much. I know that Roger is probably the smartest man I know, and because the brain is largely fat, it's quite a compliment when I call him a fathead.